The yearning to be accepted in social circles is a tale as old as time, and a universal theme to create an impetus for characters to go the distance to attain that elusive acceptance and even fame through social media. Even what I am doing now, I cannot deny the desire to establish a foothold through the myriad of social media platforms unless I did what the characters in today's movies chose to do. We start with director Daniel Goldhaber's Faces of Death. The original Faces of Death was released in 1978 as what some would describe as a Mondo horror documentary, which promised viewers they were watching actual death scenes, drawing the innate curiosity in people with regards to snuff films. With the context of the movie, it was certainly barred from showing in a very conservative Singapore back in those days. Yet since I was young, I had heard of taped copies of the movie being circulated illegally, together with other banned movies like Cannibal Holocaust. Even though many of us did not watch it, people around my age would have known about the background of Faces of Death. In this movie, we looked into the emotional burden our protagonist Margot was harboring since a tragic accident happened during a social media video recording went wrong, killing her beloved sister in the process. Margot attained a level of infamy that saw her shutting off from the outside world, especially erasing her online presence to the extent of not owning a computer or laptop. It was ironic when her means to get her life back to normalcy was a job in a fictitious social media company called Kino, in a job sieving through content and flagging videos for a multitude of reasons whenever applicable. This part of the movie felt like an office comedy, as our character clocked in and do mundane jobs, with Jermaine Fowler popping up as a supervisor who on the surface was trying to be impressionable but always on the lookout for his own job safety. Margot would soon notice a worrying trend of realistic snuff clips from users with generic name and with the hashtag FOD. Even with the supervisor's laissez-faire attitude towards these videos, Margot would find them to be uber disturbing even if it was fake. And she felt her hunch was right about the authenticity of the violence shown on screen. She took it upon herself to seek help from the internet forums and realized that the clips were parodying the 1978 movie Faces of Death, with his gay roommate Ryan schooling her further with the context of the movie. At the meantime, we were acquainted with the sadistic content creator himself, a tech support staff by the name of Arthur. Arthur was those who looked nondescript by people who worked with him and served by him in his tech store, but he was savvy enough to go into the dark web and make use of some privileges at work to track his prospective victims, usually people with some internet traction. We saw him abducting an influencer by the name of Samantha, who used the seemingly popular Kino platform, as well as tracking down a news anchor as subjects for his next few Faces of Death parodies. Inevitably, Arthur's attention was drawn towards Margot's incessant upload of his videos on Reddit, and through engagement, Margot was informed one of the videos featuring a man being tortured with electrocution to his eventual demise was a known filmmaker who was reported to be missing for a while. Arthur would use his tracking software to locate Margot as we began a game of outwitting each other between the captor and the captive, with Margot very determined to nail down this Faces of Death killer as part of her rehabilitation process for causing the unfortunate death of her sister. Director Daniel Goldhaber was not a name I know of, but I did heard of his previous movie with that quirky title, How to Blow Up a Pipeline. His directorial debut was a film titled Cam, a psychological horror movie about the seedy world of cam girls mired in some scheme from obsessive fans. You can fathom the similarity in context between Cam and Faces of Death, yet the underlying nature of those who had a know-how of the dark web wanted to manipulate you or worse still stalk and endanger your life. The law enforcement might not be of any use, and you might be resorted to take the action in your own hands. While I do not recall why Arthur was so obsessed with recreating scenes from Faces of Death, it was futile to really understand the twisted mental logistics of serial killers. It was fun to see these two individuals with their own blind obsession to bring each other down, disregarding everything else at stake in their lives. For Margot, she was still cognizant about putting the safety of other captives like Samantha as priority, while following the plan of Arthur. She was just not quick-witted enough to deal with what Arthur had thought of when she was crossing the finishing line to incriminate him. Barbie Ferreira played Margot and was yet another cast member from the HBO series Euphoria being cast in the horror movie. While Ferreira was cast in previous horror features like Jordan Peele's Nope, and Prime's exclusive House of Spoils, that supernatural horror set in a fine dining world, her portrayal of Margot was simply eye-catching, with her physique and husky voice giving the audience a memorable protagonist. I find myself seamlessly rooting for Margot at the climactic end and was at the edge of my seat when at any instant Arthur was getting the better of her. The lipstick knife contraption was a nice recurring plot too. In the role of Arthur, we have Australian actor Dacre Montgomery, who was more well known as the abusive stepbrother of Max, who died horribly in Stranger Things. Montgomery definitely channeled the Buffalo Bill creepiness when he donned that skin suit and putting on his red contact lens. His usual demeanor also made my skin crawl. His wonderful portrayal fueled me effectively to pray for his downfall. Faces of Death used a well-known IP from the past, but director Go Harbour, with the script written by the director himself and Isa Maze, to create a heart-pounding thriller about redemption for someone who was carried away in building internet fame against a serial killer who used the same social media platform to satisfy his heinous fetish. I enjoyed the movie and will give it an 8 out of 10. From the beginning of Slanted, a heartwarming Chinese father trying his best to bring his young daughter to the promised land in the Western society and encourage the fleshling to assimilate in a school where, being the odd East Asian student, she was easily assumed to be the target to be scorned by other students with racism in their blood. The instant she revealed stewed chicken feet for lunch, she was being ostracized for her culinary culture. Our lead character Joan will be obsessed to alter people's shallow impression of her due to her looks and want to experiment with the unthinkable. Immediately, I was wondering if director Amy Wong's Slanted was a remake of Sasha Rainbow's Grafted from 2024, which I have done a review previously. The setup and the characters' dynamics were almost alike, except Joan was surviving in America instead of New Zealand, and she was being cared for by her own parents instead of having to tolerate her absent auntie and obnoxious cousin. As we move forward into Joan's teenage years in high school, we could not possibly say that she was being bullied, but she was not accepted by the cool girls led by Olivia, the girl in school who was a celebrity from a social media influence and acting career. Together with her best friend Brinda, who had been paying Joan daily for a packed lunch in the same mental lunchbox. Joan was actually enjoying life in a small social circle, but you could see her not being satisfied with status quo. When Joan signed up to compete for the prom queen contest for the graduation prom, her desire to have Olivia to endorse her was burning out of control. This was why she thought by doing a DIY dyeing job, she would change the perception of Olivia towards her, and was over the moon when she could be at the beck and call of the alpha girl, only realizing she was being made use of without being accepted at all. Downcast with all the ill treatment and acknowledging that she could never change things looking the way she is, she was handed a golden opportunity to go through a physical transformation that even her parents could not recognize her. The fictitious high-tech bio-augmentation clinic, started by one Dr. Singer, offered Joan an escape where the notion of an American society still favoring white people, begrudgingly overlooking the capabilities and other expertise of people of other ethnicities, made the choice to go through the conversion an easy one. Like in Charlie Brooker's Black Mirror anthology series, there was always going to be a caveat. There was always going to be a price to pay. For Joan, now assuming the persona of Jo, she was going to suffer the cruel consequences for cosmetic augmentation. The physical elements aside, Joan made all the heart-wrenching, terrible choices to burn bridges with her best friend, as well as making disparaging comments on her parents, who toyed and laboured, doing all they could to give Joan the best opportunity to carve a life of her own. We then see the classic prom queen coronation scene, which surely felt like tipping the hat to De Palma's adaptation of Stephen King's Carrie. While there was no bloodbath in this movie, the tension brewing with Jo having to keep her face in place when all she dreamt about was unwinding in front of her. Written and directed by Amy Wong, I suppose this was an authentic experience for her growing up in America, where the more leftist way of governance and acceptance was in place, the more the far right wanted to show their true colours. People of Chinese descent like Amy, and of course the surrogate character like Joan and her parents, would never get their fair share of opportunity, regardless how the Hollywood want to conceal the truth. I like the twist with the character Olivia, which I did not see it coming, but characters like her breed the innate societal issues trying to erase their identity to pretend to be someone they are never meant to be. Shirley Chen played Joan, and she had the natural feel of enduring some of the nonsense in her life and resigning to fate. McKenna Grace played the personification of beauty from the lap of ethnos, and I like the interactions between her and her parents, played by the delightful pair of Vivian Wu and Fang Du, who went from totally flummoxed by the strange Caucasian lady who stumbled into their lives to fully accept her when they know that she was their daughter all along. When Jo was suffering that surgical defects, she looked like Leah Thompson with prosthetics as the aged mother of Marty McFly. The final decision of emancipation from Joan was heartfelt and felt like the most logical choice she could make, and it was not hard for me to relate to the movie with regards to acceptance. Even though I was not in the same wretched societal situations, I still wanted to be accepted somewhere. Slanted from writer-director Amy Wang was as engaging as crafted, and even with the whole sci-fi fantasy with the ethnos clinic, it felt even more rooted to reality than the New Zealand body horror. Of course, we can also see overt inspiration from The Substance, when our protagonist wanted badly to ensure her new leash of life was not disrupted by the disclaimers in small prints. Go catch Slanted if you can't, as this is a movie worth a 7.5 out of 10 from me. By the way, slanted could refer to the physical slanting of the facial muscles after the augmentation, or could be when the awful kid doing the slant eyes towards young Joan, who likely had to endure it throughout her childhood. This was a double feature that was up my alley, once again highlighting the quality of horror on offer for 2026. Please hit the like button if you like this review, and subscribe to the channel to see what nice surprises 2026 still have to offer in terms of horror cinema. Really or Not, Here I Come was not a horrible film, but really was not as engaging for me like the movies this week. But do check out the review together with the 2019 prequel from Matt Bettinelli-Olpin and Tyler Gillette. I suppose doing silly dances or intellectually insulting skits on social media platforms are not simply good enough these days to grab the views. So to what extent would you go to make your content stand out from the rest?